Yep.
We can't really, celebrate. It's more of, okay, we did this. How can we improve on that? How can we take this momentum and take it to the next level now? How can we, create more wins?
Yeah.
We have the mindset of like day by day, survive in advance, where, we see something really cool happen, or we had a great, sale to a team or whatever, and instead of, sulking in that like exact moment of, great job, or if we lost the deal, it's, on to the next, just because, we're up against, everyone's a competitor.
Yeah.
And, we're always looking for another edge to, instead of being here, how can we get up to here? So celebrate, and then on to the next, probably an hour later.
I love it, man. I think you're exactly right. Like, you've got to keep moving forward, and I mean, sometimes it can feel, overwhelming. Say, hey, you're going up against like the big names like in the world, right? Like Nike and Adidas and all these guys, like these big names, particularly in the basketball world, right?
Mm-hmm.
But saying like to yourself, like having that mindset of, hey, get through today. Yeah, we didn't get the deal, or yes, we did get the deal, but we're surviving today, and then tomorrow we're going to keep driving forward, and we're going to survive tomorrow.
Yeah.
You kind of touched on it a little bit, but I want to dive a little bit more into like the overall process of designing and really bringing your shoes to life. So what was the process like, and what have you learned about patience and persistence, I would have to imagine, really building your brand?
Yeah, well, I'll start off and say patience is my worst quality. I'm the most impatient person alive. I think in certain cases in business that can be a pro, but for my mental, it's very hard to stay patient. I think building a shoe in general takes patience. It's it could be a 10-month process, it could be a 24-month process. It just depends on the type of shoe you're making. And it goes back to the learning curve. We spent months designing the shoe at the beginning until we felt it was ready, and then from there you take it to the next step of taking it to your developer. This is the shoe. You have the tech pack. You break that down, and then you present it to factories that you feel confident that can build the shoe and bring the dream to reality. And it's just a full process.
Yeah. Well, so like, is there any, like, if anybody out there listening is like, man, I really like, I'm a big fan of footwear. I'm a sneakerhead too. I'm thinking about getting into the shoe game. Is there any piece of advice that you would give to anybody listening that's thinking about getting into the game too?
Yeah, I would just say pick as many people's brains as possible and be a sponge. That's what I did from the age of 20 years old till now. I'm always talking to different people, whether it's a designer, a developer, someone that worked in distribution, sales, marketing. Just because, you're always learning, there's always new things happening in the footwear industry, and that's what I've had to do is I've had to lean on certain people that have worked in the industry and the markets to really understand their perspective, being a veteran. So it's, taking what they say and then, applying it to Stria in a way that it can fit.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I've been in like sales and business for a long time, and like there's always kind of those moments where you have to make a pivot, right? Like you're thinking you're going down one road, then all of a sudden you get some new information, you have to make a change. Have you guys had any big pivot moments in Stria?
Not yet. It's really just seeing what works. So I'd say the pivot for us is seeing how do we make the most bang for our buck being a startup. So, seeing what works, which people posting our shoe on social media really creates the most awareness, whether it's grassroots, is it pro athletes, should we go after NBA players, overseas players, YouTubers. It's where we live in a crazy time now where there's different types of people that can really help grow a brand. And our biggest thing is just getting our name, our brand, our shoe out there in front of the most eyes. So it's just really learning what works, what doesn't work. So that's really good for us.
Well, so I love that. I mean, anybody that's listened to the show much knows that I'm a really big believer in experimentation. Both experimenting in the sense of like, trying new things, but then also having that experimentation mindset where you're not failing something if it doesn't work out the way you thought. You're just trying something, and then you're learning from it to try something different the next time. Right. And I mean, it sounds like you guys are doing a ton of experimenting to see what works well for you guys. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, no, we have to. It's experimenting. It's talking to different people on our team from their experiences. When they go out and sell the shoe, if they're talking to other people, then we all huddle up together. and we decide, what's the best, pathway for Stria moving forward. What has worked in the past? We don't want to keep making the same mistakes. So it's, if something doesn't work, then we don't do that again.
Yeah.
And that goes even to the development of the shoe. The first shoe, our 107 series, which is our basketball shoe, it took about a year and a half to develop until we felt confident with it. But we went through about 5-6 sample rounds where we'd wear test the shoe and what didn't work, what worked.